Welcome to the Lawson and Gift podcast. Make sure to hit that like button, share the videos, and subscribe. We're wrapping it up today with the NFC North. Pretty close between the Vikings and Packers.
Yeah, Giff, and a lot of people think the Bears can still work their way into it, but I do think my preseason pick of the Bears at 7 wins is correct. And while Minnesota's surging, while Minnesota's looking really good, and they probably have more overall talent than the Packers, I have to stay with the preseason future bet of the Packers. I'll give you a big reason why. Minnesota isn't covering well this year. Can Mike Zimmer tweak it? Yeah, he can. Does he have Mike Hughes and Holton Hill? Yeah, Mike Hughes came back a few weeks back. He's looked good. Holton Hill's coming back. We know he can play a little bit. But, man, they're not getting close to anyone. And one of the big culprits is Xavier Rhodes. Really the only one who plays tight coverage on the Minnesota Vikings is the linebacker Eric Kendricks. The rest is just really soft, really passive coverage. And while the pass rush is good, while Anthony Barr and Kendricks are great stopping the run, you got to get closer to receivers, and that will probably be the difference, because when the Vikings play the Packers next, even if Devontae Adams is still hurt, they're going to need to get close to some people, and I don't know if they can do that consistently. And the Packers have a lot of problems as well, but I do think the Packers should slide by here and give me my future money. It was hard betting against Minnesota preseason with the future bet, but so far, I think I have good evidence too.
Yeah, well, I'll start by saying the Bears don't have a chance. I don't see that with the offense and the way that they've been playing. It's horrific for the Bears. I don't care how good that defense is. If your offense is bottom 3 in the league, which to me it looks like right now, they're not going to have a chance.
It is bottom 3, and that's one thing a lot of people don't want to address.
And they're 3 games behind as it stands, so I can't see them making a resurgence. It really comes down to the Vikings and Packers. But I have to go with the Packers, too. It's just the defense has overachieved this year, I think. Mike Pettine's done a really good job. They have solid players. They're good against the pass. I think they're a little bit vulnerable against the run. But it's not like a terribly bad situation. And then, of course, you have Aaron Rodgers, who makes big plays, and you know he'll eventually get you points in close games. The Vikings, I think, a wild card is where they're going to be at. But it's because I can't get behind the Kirk Cousins issue.
Yeah.
Look, I know it's past couple weeks he's played really good. But, again, when there is no pressure and he's able to sit back there and do play action and Dalvin Cook's running out of his mind, he's going to look good.
And you don't get to play the Lions every week. I think that's a thing to remember. And when you look at this, you would want to say that as the season goes on, especially once they play again, because we know they play again, you want to say, hey, man, maybe Mike Zimmer can just completely dominate Matt LaFleur in a game. Maybe he can out-coach him. But I can't go that far. I don't think Mike Zimmer is capable of doing that at this point. I think Mike Zimmer is a good coach, a very good coach. But is he a great coach? Is he an excellent coach? At this point, no. On this Xavier Rhodes situation for the Minnesota Vikings, something's got to give, because every single game, 40, 50-yard deep pass penalty, not even close to the football, let alone all the easy throws in front of them for first downs. That has to be rectified, but I don't see any end in sight with it unless Mike Zimmer has the cojones to bench him.
Well, when the Packers and Vikings met earlier this season, Rhodes wasn't having those issues. That's something that has come up the past 2-3 weeks or so. Like we said before last week's game, they need to just sit him down so he can recollect himself. If it's a week, if it's 2 weeks, I don't know. But let him recollect and get more confidence. They need to do that for sure, because I think right now they'd be better off with him not in the lineup. As sad as that sounds.
Holton Hill's going to take some time, and we know he's undersized out there. He's more, even though I think he can be a great player in this league. But Mike Hughes is fantastic. Mackenzie Alexander at nickel is pretty good, although Vikings fans overrate him quite a bit. But I do want to see Mike Hughes get a chance, because one thing the Packers are doing really well is your boy Jair Alexander. They're deep in the secondary and they play a lot of people and they're able to blitz. The Packers blitz a lot and they'll leave those fast young guns out there. Right now, even though Xavier Rhodes, I'm not saying he's trash, but the way he's playing is trash. Yeah. Right now, you put him man on man and the guy runs deep. If he's just skittish and he's going to put his hands all over the guy, pass interference every time. Yeah. I'd rather have Mike Hughes out there because he'll go run with someone. And Trey Waynes has actually played pretty good this year. But the problem with the Vikings is Harrison Smith hasn't been playing a lot in the box because he has to play center field because they're so vulnerable due to Xavier Rhodes getting beat.
Yeah, and he's just not locating the ball, and really that needs to be rectified soon. I hope that they do. And with, like you said, with Holton Hill coming back off of suspension and Mike Hughes playing the way he is, they got enough corners to where they could weather that storm for a week or two to where Xavier Rhodes can get his confidence back. But if you talk about a matchup with the Packers, when they play again, obviously, they played early on in the season, so it's kind of hard to say if that's going to happen the way it went down again. But I think Zimmer can neutralize Aaron Rodgers and hold the passing game off. But for me, it just gets back to the Packers' defense and what they could do to the Vikings' offense. To me, if the Vikings can run the football the way that they have, then they're going to be in great contention. How they might even win this division. I'm at that point.
They could. I am, because the Packers have their problems too. I mean, one of the I'm leaning towards Minnesota, but man, I might as well just stay with the future pick, the bet that I got great odds on, because Aaron the Game Rodgers, he will rectify a lot of those issues. But also, is anyone really sold on this Packers team being able to continue running the football? Has anyone sold on that?
Well, I don't even know where everybody's getting the fact that they're running it all that well now. I don't really think that they are. Look, Aaron Jones is an okay back, but everybody's trying to say each week he's getting better, he's going to be a star. No, that the Packers are not going to be able to run the ball consistently this year. It's just not going to happen.
Well, now, what's the deal with this Devontae Adams situation, though?
He's getting closer to returning. Won't be this week.
But it's turf toe, and those things are dangerous. Like, I've seen Deion Sanders miss a whole NFL season due to turf toe.
Yeah, from what we learned this week is that he said he's a million times better, but he's still a little ways off. So maybe in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe.
If this gets to 4 or 5 weeks, it might be just a little bit too much for the Packers to overcome, especially with the way Dalvin Cook's playing.
Yes, and well, you remember the matchup that they had. I mean, I know it's just one game, but still, even with Adams, when they played the Vikings this year, they were able to score early, the Packers, but the Vikings shut them right down the rest of the game.
And without Kirk Cousins completely having one of the most epic meltdowns on the national stage I've ever seen, Vikings win that game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sit here and say, like, the Packers are going to clearly run away with this division because Dalvin Cook wasn't running as good at that point either. Man, Dalvin Cook is special. I just want to say that.
He is. And Giff, we were right to say he was the best running back in the NFL, and people are saying, "Oh, you're saying that because you're a Vikings fan." Absolutely not, man. No. We're pretty realistic about the Vikings, and we understand their faults. A lot of it comes from Kirk Cousins. Like, we're not saying Kirk Cousins is a top 5 quarterback because he tore up the Lions a few games ago. Dalvin Cook is special, Giff, and he's a force of nature.
And it's, he is leading the league in rushing, but it's not so much about that. It's how he gets those yards. It's when he gets those yards. And it's what propels that whole offense. And we've seen Adrian Peterson do it with the Vikings, single-handedly bring them to the playoffs.
With DeVaris Jackson,
Yeah, and I think we're seeing another situation like this with Dalvin Cook.
Now, and I'm going to give you the biggest reason why I do think Kirk Cousins has a few more bad games in him. Yes. That's where I'm going.
I can't forget that. That's the thing.
That's where I'm going. Yeah, Vikings, they probably get to 10 wins, but there's going to be a few more meltdowns that cause them not to get 11 or 12. We have to remember that. Like, for instance, they still have the Bears again on the schedule. We've seen his 3 games against the Bears these past 2 years. We know what's going to happen.
Well, that's the thing. We have not seen Kirk Cousins throw the football efficiently when the run game's not working. Hasn't happened. If that were the case, then I would say it's their division easily. Yeah. But if a team can just neutralize Dalvin Cook a little bit, That's when Kirk Cousins struggles.
And I'm a little bit nervous about this Adam Thielen injury because
Yes.
he's huge for the Vikings. And they don't have any receiver depth. We know that. I mean, Giff, it's nice that they have Irv Smith and they can work Rudolph more into the game plans. That's going to be something that at least helps. But if they don't have enough receivers outside of Diggs to be able to survive this too long, they're just not built that way. And that's fine. You can't prepare for everything. But we were saying even going into the season, the weakness of the team is probably either Kirk Cousins' mental stability or their third string wide receiver position. It's looking like that might hurt them. But at least they can go for a few weeks with more two tight end sets and try to work it that way.
And I'll just end with a question. So the injury to Thielen, do you know what that is?
It's a hamstring, and they're actually saying he might be back next week. I just wouldn't want to risk it. I think you got to give him plenty of time out. I think it's like a 3-4 week injury. That's my read on it. Unless they want him coming back and re-aggravating it quick, and then he's out 6 weeks, and then you're left maybe not without this division title.
I think you let him rest too until he's fully healthy because we saw him play injured last year. I don't think you want to keep compounding problems like that. Let him get healthy because he's somebody you want to have on your team for years to come. So don't re-aggravate the injury.
Subscribe, hit the like button, share the videos, the Lawson and Gift Podcast.